What if the person you trusted most, your own spouse, turned out to be playing a game you didn't even know you were part of? This isn't just about love, trust, or even betrayal. This is about strategy. About how one partner can quietly plan, calculate, and wait. Until the day you realize everything you thought was yours was never really safe. Today's story is about a marriage, a prenup, and a dangerous game of control. Buckle up, because this one will leave you questioning just how well you really know the person beside you. Welcome to Breakup Cheater, the place where real stories of betrayal, revenge, and the dark side of human nature come to life. Every story we share pulls back the curtain on secrets, lies, and the choices that change lives forever. If you're ready for tales that shock, unsettle, and keep you thinking long after they end, you're in the right place. The morning everything changed. That morning I left the apartment later than usual. I hadn't eaten, barely managed to brush my hair, and completely forgot the umbrella I always kept by the door. But none of that mattered. The second I stepped outside, I stopped and breathed in. The air carried that crisp edge of spring, the kind that makes you believe the world is starting fresh again. After weeks of gray skies draped over Portland like a damp blanket, the sun finally broke through. Warm, not the heavy, suffocating warmth of summer, but gentle, like a shawl draped over my shoulders, whispering that maybe today wouldn't be so bad. I clutched my tote bag and hurried down Hawthorne Boulevard. My shift at the pharmacy was starting in less than 2 minutes, but the walk was mercifully short, just a few blocks past the bakery and the old hardware store that smelled like sawdust even from the sidewalk. As I passed under budding trees, I noticed the tiny green tips forcing their way through winter's leftovers. Birds chirped. People nodded and smiled at one another like strangers sharing the same secret. For a heartbeat, the whole city felt lighter, like it had finally exhaled. Call. Good morning. You're glowing today. Lisa, my coworker, teased as I slipped on my white coat behind the counter. Let's see if the customers let me keep it, I joked, sliding into rhythm with the morning rush. The parade of regulars had already begun. The elderly neighbors who stocked up on their weekly prescriptions and chatted about everything from gardening to grandkids. I didn't mind. There was a rhythm to it, a small comfort in the predictability. Then my phone rang. I excused myself quickly, thinking it might be my husband, Ethan. Instead, a deep male voice filled the line. Hello, is this Claire Martin? Yes, who's calling? This is Brian Simmons. I'm Ethan Martin's supervisor. My smile dropped. My chest tightened. What happened? There was an accident at the site. He was injured. They've taken him to Portland General. I gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. Is he alive? Yes. But you should get there now. I didn't even say goodbye. I shoved the phone into my pocket and turned to Lisa, my hands trembling. I have to go. It's Ethan. There was an accident. She didn't ask questions, just nodded. Go. I'll cover. And just like that, the sunshine vanished. The drive blurred. I don't remember traffic lights, turns, or even the streets rushing past. Only the words repeating like a drumbeat. Asterisk, your husband was hurt. He's in the hospital. When I burst through the ER's sliding doors, I could barely breathe. My husband, Ethan Martin. He was brought in. The nurse at the desk nodded. He's in surgery. Trauma team took him about 30 minutes ago. Surgery. The word ripped through me. My legs gave out and I collapsed into a plastic chair. The world around me, the ticking clock, the humming vending machine, the chatter of nurses, blurred into static. 2 hours passed. Then 3. My throat was dry, my chest heavy. Every time footsteps approached, my heart jumped. Finally, a man in scrubs, his hair flat under a cap and his eyes rimmed red, stepped toward me. Mrs. Martin. I nearly knocked the chair over standing. Yes, please, tell me. He made it through surgery. Relief hit me hard, but before I could exhale, the doctor continued. Your husband suffered a severe spinal injury. A large section of material collapsed on him. Will he walk? I whispered. The doctor hesitated, and in that pause I already knew. We've stabilized him. reduced the swelling. But right now there's a chance of permanent paralysis. It's too early to know. My mouth opened but nothing came. My body moved on autopilot, nodding, thanking him, sitting back down. Only when he left did the tears finally come, hot and unstoppable. The sunlit morning already felt like a memory from another lifetime. When I finally saw Ethan, pale and fragile under hospital lights, his voice broke me. "Claire, I'm here," I whispered, clutching his cold hand. He swallowed, eyes fixed on the blanket covering his legs. "I can't feel them," he whispered. "My legs. I can't feel anything." I forced my voice steady. "It could be the anesthesia. The doctors said it's too soon to know." But in his eyes I saw it. A fear. A shame. The knowledge he already suspected the truth. I called our daughter Lily, a college sophomore nearly 100 miles away. She cried, begged to come home, but I told her to focus on her studies. Then I called Agnes, my mother-in-law, Ethan's mother. The second she heard, her voice hardened. "I'll be on the next bus. He needs me." I tried to tell her I had things under control, but it was pointless. At 7 a.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Agnes standing there with her suitcase, perfume trailing in like smoke. "I took the earliest Greyhound," she said briskly, brushing past me into the apartment. "He needs me." And just like that, my home was no longer mine. At the hospital, Agnes transformed into a general. She barked orders at nurses, repositioned Ethan's pillows, and criticized everything I did. Michael, exhausted and dulled by pain medication, never intervened. He just lay there, watching silently as if trapped between two storms. I felt myself shrinking, just like I had the very first night I met her. Weeks passed. Dr. Lee pulled me aside one day. "Rehabilitation is critical now. I'd like to recommend Arthur Blake, a private therapist. He's expensive but effective." Agnes scoffed when I suggested it. "We don't need some stranger charging a fortune. I used to coach gymnastics. I know what his body needs." "With respect," I said carefully, "this isn't a sprained ankle. This is spinal trauma." Her eyes flashed. "I gave birth to him. I know what his body needs." Ethan said nothing. So I made the decision myself. We hired Arthur. He came 3 times a week, encouraging Ethan gently, methodically. Progress was slow. Painfully slow. Agnes hovered over every session like a crow, muttering her disapproval. 2 months in, Ethan still couldn't walk. I was exhausted. Juggling the hospital, the apartment, the bills, and my pharmacy job was breaking me. But the breaking point came not from exhaustion, but betrayal. It was after a 10-day stretch without rest. I was cleaning a hotel room during my second job, sneaking hours just to keep us afloat financially. Room 310. I swiped my keycard, pushed the card inside, and froze. Standing by the window was Ethan. On his feet. Walking. Smiling. And he wasn't alone. A young blonde woman in a silk robe stood draped over his shoulders, laughing softly as his hand traced her back. They looked like lovers. Comfortable. Intimate. For a second I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But when Ethan turned, his smile collapsed. "Claire!" I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I just turned and walked out, my chest caving in, my breath breaking. And in that moment, I realized the cruelest part of it all. It wasn't just the accident. It wasn't just Agnes. It wasn't just the bills, the endless exhaustion, or the fear of the future. It was that while I had been breaking myself apart to hold us together, Ethan had been walking all along. And he'd been walking straight into someone else's arms. I don't remember how I got home that night. My body moved like it was made of stone. Hands gripping the steering wheel, eyes glazed over, heart pounding so loudly I couldn't hear the traffic around me. When I finally stumbled through the apartment door, Agnes was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of her own imported tea, scrolling through her tablet like she belonged there. She barely looked up. "You're late," she said. "Your husband asked for you." For a long moment I just stared at her. The words sat on the edge of my tongue, but I swallowed them back. Not yet. Not to her. I went straight to the bedroom, shut the door, and pressed my back against it until my legs gave out. Silent tears streamed down my face, my breath ragged. My husband wasn't broken. My husband wasn't helpless. My husband wasn't where I thought he was. He was standing in a hotel room, with another woman's arms wrapped around him. And he had let me carry everything. Agnes's barbs, the bills, the 2 jobs, the sleepless nights, while he lied. The next morning, I walked into his hospital room with my chin high and my heart shaking. Ethan's eyes flicked up when I entered. Guilt washed over his face in an instant, but he didn't speak. I set the water jug down harder than necessary. When were you planning to tell me? Agnes perked up from the corner chair. Tell you what? Stay out of this, I snapped, my voice sharper than I'd ever dared with her. Ethan's lips parted, but no words came. His silence was an answer in itself. I stepped closer, my voice low, trembling. I saw you. On your feet. With her. Agnes's face twisted. What are you talking about? I'm talking about your son, I hissed, never breaking eye contact with him. The man who let me kill myself with double shifts, who watched me empty our savings, who let me believe he was broken while he was sneaking around behind my back. Ethan finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Claire, it's not what you think. Don't, I cut him off. Don't you dare say those words. I know what I saw. Agnes stood abruptly, her chair screeching. How dare you accuse my son? He's been through enough without you inventing stories to punish him. I turned on her, decades of swallowed resentment boiling up. Enough. Do you have any idea what enough looks like? Enough is waking up before dawn, working until my bones ache, then coming home to care for your son while you sit here criticizing the way I fold towels. Enough is bleeding myself dry so he could have a chance to stand again, only to find out he was already standing, in another woman's arms. Her mouth opened, but for once no words came. Ethan's head dropped into his hands. His shoulders shook, but whether it was shame or fear I couldn't tell. Claire, he whispered. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. The words made me laugh, a hollow, broken sound. That's what you're worried about. That I found out. Not that you lied to me, not that you betrayed me while I carried all of this, just that I wasn't supposed to see. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the steady beep of the monitor. I took a step back, my voice steady now. Cold. I loved you enough to ruin myself for you. But I won't ruin myself with you. I turned toward the door. Agnes's voice cut through the air one last time. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. I looked at her over my shoulder. That's the first thing you've ever said to me that felt like a gift. And then I left. That night, I didn't go back to the apartment. I checked into a cheap roadside motel with a little cash I had left, lying awake on stiff sheets, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in months, I didn't feel exhaustion clawing at my chest. Felt something else. Freedom. The truth was jagged and cruel, but it was also clean. No more lies. No more bending under the weight of a man who had already let go of me. Tomorrow I would call a lawyer. Tomorrow I would begin the paperwork. Tomorrow I would finally put myself and my daughter first. Because Ethan had chosen deception. Agnes had chosen control. But me. I was choosing survival. In the end, marriage is supposed to be about trust. But when one person turns it into a game, the other never really stood a chance. Sabrina thought she was building a life with Daniel, when in reality he was building a safety net for himself, brick by brick, behind her back. The question is, was he smart or was he cruel? And if you were in Sabrina's shoes, what would you do? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more stories that expose the hidden games people play behind closed doors, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Until next time, stay alert because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones holding all the cards.